So this is an appeal to, I suppose, common sense and maybe a bit of decency, although I doubt whether it's going to work. The people that I need to appeal to probably won't listen. But I said right at the start that people need to just calm down and be careful what they say. Now, once upon a time, there were certain things you didn't say in front of kids because, they're impressionable and they can be influenced by what you say. And look, that is still the case, not necessarily with young children, but with people that are impressionable. So we've had this huge upswing in, let's put it bluntly, racism, propagated by grievance political parties, grievance politicians, different individuals, and just plain straight out bigots. They're not judging people on good and bad. They're judging people on skin colour, on race, on ethnicity, on sexuality, the whole lot. And it's not going to end well. I said, if you want race war, go telling someone that's born in this country that they don't belong here. They should go back to a country where they've never been, although I don't know how you go back somewhere that you've never been. But yeah, that sort of thing. But let me show you that what I said wasn't based on fantasy. It was based on fact. Anyone with half a brain, and especially if you've had any sort of training in the psychology of things, you would know that this was going to happen. But it's not actually happening so much with the ethnic community. It's happening with white Australians. And that should be a shock to everyone. So we had the Bondi massacre, and at that point, there was a huge uptick in it. What you've got to remember is one of those individuals was born in Australia. He'd been here for years, ever since his birth. But he became radicalised. And you'll say, oh, yeah, but his father was a Muslim. His father was from India. He wasn't from the Middle East. So there's something going on there. But, if you step back before that, you had Brendan Tarrant, an Australian, that went over to New Zealand, scoped it out, went back, and then slaughtered 52 people in 2 mosques, wounding 80-something. A white Australian. And then, started out with the whole online gaming thing and online comments. He expressed racist views, far-right views. And one of the things he actually said was that migrants are okay as long as they stayed in their own countries. There you go. Not welcome here. But then, around the time of the Bondi massacre, we had 2 incidents occurred. We had Liam Alexander over there in Perth on Australia Day, who threw a fragmentation bomb containing ball bearings and screws into a crowd of 2,500 people, mainly Indigenous people, that were, the Invasion Day rallies, they were protests. It's their right. It's, you talk about Australian values. One of those probably should be the right to demonstrate. Whether it agree with what they're demonstrating agrees with you or not. So all those people out there saying, you talk about Australian values, yet you deny them. The Australians that were here before you were here, buddy, and your forebears? Yeah. The police came down to the fact that it was nationalist and racially motivated. He was self-radicalised by pro-white material, you guessed it, online. Soon after, we had Jason Michaels, 20, of Bindoon, Western Australia, just out of Perth. They caught him with a manifesto, prohibited weapons, firearms by 7 knives, ballistic vests, gas masks. He was preparing an attack on the West Australian Parliament House, police headquarters and mosques, mass casualty events he wanted to prepare. But he spread it around. He was both anti-Semitic and Islamophobic. Again, white Australian male. Just recently, the AFP announced they caught a 17-year-old youth in the ACT in Canberra planning an attack. He was arrested in the 5th, the 11th, 25. He had violent extremist material. They found further evidence sharing material and planning an attack. And again, nationalist and racist extremism. Now, I would say, I haven't mentioned a name, obviously he's still a youth, but the nationalist thing tells us, damn good chance, white Australian. So this is not about white versus brown or anything like that. This is about the fact that there are impressionable people out there, a lot of them young, that won't just talk, they will act. And when they act, it's an impetus for others to act. So just pull your head in a bit. Think about what you say. Do you really want to see, that event in Perth? 2,500 people, a fragmentation weapon. Do you want to see, 5 or 6 dead and the others with parts of their faces ripped off, missing fingers, hands, that sort of thing? I've actually rehabbed people that are involved in explosions, shrapnel, burns, all of that sort of thing. And of course, the mental side of it. The fact that they can never get over what happened. Most of them were doing something that was completely innocuous. And all of a sudden, the worst episode of their life occurred. And while they survived it, they left a piece of this behind. Their whole life's been affected. And as much as you hate, are you going to be able to look at a body, a man, a woman, a child, bleeding there, and say, yeah, it was my rhetoric that actually encouraged the guy to do it? Take a bit of responsibility on board for what you say, because it affects people. The Bondi massacre was horrible. Brendan Tarrant's effort, horrible. What could have happened in Perth, horrible. I don't care about their colour. They are radicalised by the bullshit being spouted by people online, wearing the bullshit t-shirts I mentioned yesterday. All of that sort of intolerance that's going on. Be smart enough to recognise good people. And one of these much vaunted Australian values, the whole fair go thing? How about you give someone a fair go? Let's just give them the right to be who they are until they prove that they're evil people. All right? That's a fair go. That's the Australian way. Not just to say, you're a funny colour, or you practice an odd religion, or you don't like Christmas and Easter, therefore you better piss off to your own country. Because there are people out there that will listen to that and think, I will be a hero if I get rid of some of these people. That is simply what is going to happen. I don't want to see people dying, people maimed, anything like that in this country. And this shows that it is not exclusively any one race, ethnicity, religion, or anything like that that is responsible for it. It is a societal issue that is caused by the rhetoric of certain segments of society. You can whinge all you like about radical imams, but if you're saying the same thing in return on Facebook or wherever, how are you any different? Please, calm down.